the Choose Happiness podcast. My guest today definitely falls under the category of a powerful woman, which is why I am so excited to have her in my Powerful Women series. Please welcome, coming to us from Portland, Oregon, Erin Guard. Hi, Erin.
Oh, hi, Rachel. It's so nice to see you. Thanks for having me on. What a pleasure.
Oh my goodness, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
So you are the founder and CEO of Site Consulting Group, which says it's a company that helps businesses grow and develop to be the best they can be. And their main goal is to streamline business production with honesty, integrity, vision, and real world sensibilities.
hmm
I love all of this. And I
Hmm.
feel like, if I may say, many companies could benefit from these ideologies and this mission
hmm
statement.
Yeah.
So, you chose to start your own company in 1999 after working for a big consulting firm.
hmm
Can you tell us what led you to wanting to start your own company and what that journey looked like for you?
Oh, for sure, for sure. So, I think working for a large national consulting and CPA firm, I was looking to I was looking for freedom. Happiness for me is, I think I equate it with freedom. And so, leaving the trappings of a large firm was part of that for me. And in 1999, it was a really good time to do that. I had been there about 6 years, had learned a lot, and was really grateful for that. And then started out on my own, creative site consulting group on my own. And then, the journey has really looked like going from, a large firm with lots of people, lots of inputs, lots of mentorship, the ability to mentor others. Then you go out on your own and you kind of lose that a little bit because you're working with a client. And so you get it in that angle, but you don't necessarily have that team angle internally as much anymore. I really missed that. And so part of the journey for Site Consulting Group has been to shift from just a solo independent consulting model to one where I've built a team over time that has its own culture and meets our own goals and objectives, I think, culturally within those clients and companies that we work with. So it's been a lot more I think engaging and energizing for me to go back to. I always call it like scratching you're always better when you smack your head against other smart people. Just there's no way around it, right? Like you're always going to get better that way. And that's what I missed, I think, in the time in between. And so I've evolved it over time to be something more of a team internal environment like that as well. So I've really enjoyed that process for sure.
That's fantastic. And what's great about you being at the helm is that you get to pick and choose people who really align with your values and are going to present your vision to the
hmm
clients.
So
And that's
true.
when when you work in a big firm, you kind of don't know who you're going to have to work with, and they might not, kind of jive with what you think. So
hmm
I think that's wonderful that you're able to
hmm
really be selective with who you choose to work
Yeah.
with.
Yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that. That's been a really big part of the journey because you don't always get it right. And so as you learn over time, certainly that gets better and better. But that's been real true for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Obviously you're a women-owned business, right? And you're a certified member of the National Women Business Owners Corporation.
Mhm.
And especially, I'm thinking kind of way back, did you face any challenges when you were starting out as a female CEO? And if
Mhm.
so, how were you able to overcome those?
Oh, that's a great question. I think, we live in a world where that was designed by men for men. I mean, that's just the reality of the society that we live in. And I think, I was fortunate to have a lot of advantages growing up where I maybe naively thought I wasn't impacted by that because I had a lot of independence, I had a lot of choice, and I feel very grateful for that. And so when I first started working, I think I didn't really realize how impacted I was going to be by that. And so it took a while for me to really see it and understand it. And I think as a woman, we are often, early on trained to sort of morph and shift how we show up and how we talk and how assertive we are within the confines of a patriarchy that is really still alive and well, as we, I think, are all very aware,
Mhm.
particularly right now. And so I think for me, I think without knowing it, and then I knew it, I danced, I did my own version of that dance until I didn't. And I think a really poignant moment for me as a CEO, as a woman CEO within that environment was, starting out at a very conservative national firm, as I mentioned, then starting my own thing and going, oh, feeling, even more empowered and more like not, not affected by, say, that patriarchy that I mentioned, but realizing after a while that I was, and was doing my own dance. And so in 2016 and in 17, I was faced with a couple of really tough clients for the first time where I really had to look at that. I had a couple of male CEOs I was working for, that our firm was. We had teams on both in both clients, at both sites, and I was like, oh my goodness, like these are this. It was like an extreme version of that. Very domineering, oppressive, very like not collaborative, not living into the values that as a woman I wanted, and also as a woman who owned a firm that believes in collaboration, connection, and communication, like really believes in those things and in working together that way. And so what I realized is at that point, it was a real point, a pivot point of here's who we're going to work with and here's who we're not. And it shifted, I think, made me a lot more cognizant of what the realities of the situation were, and also got really intentional about who we will work for and with and who we won't. And so since then, I always thought of myself as very careful about that, going always, but it's made me more careful. It's made me more conscientious of all the people, the clients, the leadership, the people we hire, and do those values and where we're trying to go align. And so it's been really exciting, I think, as a firm owner, to have that choice, right? I get to choose, and I think I feel fortunate enough to have good relationships with all the folks that we work with, partners, customers, and our contractors, to be able to make that choice. I think not everybody gets that opportunity. So I feel real fortunate about that, but it was definitely something that was intentional for us that we were going to choose not to be subject to that anymore.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Good for you, because I would
yeah,
imagine too, there might be, as an owner, we have to make sure to have as many clients as we can. The money needs to keep
yes.
rolling in and all that.
Uh,
And that could land you in those situations where it just doesn't, it's not right.
yeah.
So I'm
It's
grateful.
that is so true. It makes me think of, people have asked me like, well, why did you make that shift? How did you make that shift? Like it's scary, right? Because you could lose clients. We did. We gave up those two clients, truthfully.
Mm.
And I think it's a mindset, right? It's an abundance over a scarcity mindset. You have to trust that what you are doing and putting out in the world has integrity and is something that is valuable, meaningful, can have impact. And I think if you're really convicted in that way and understand that that's what's true for you, your people find you, you find your people, and you'll do great work. So I think it's really a mindset choice.
Yes. And I feel like this mindset really, we can take that into relationships and
Yes,
friendships and all aspects of our life.
yes.
And I love that you said that, because it makes me think of kind of those friends you've always had. And then one day you look and you say, they don't really align with my values anymore, but they've been my friend for 30 years, so we're still friends. And so
Hmm.
I like that mindset shift of
Hmm.
what do you say? You said abundance over
Yeah, abundance over scarcity, right? It's
Yes,
easy to be
yes,
afraid when you think, oh my gosh, I'm giving all these things up, or where will the next thing come from, right? But
yes.
abundance mindset, I think, has meant a lot for me. It's just to not worry about like what's not going to be there and go make what's supposed to be there.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, I just want to sit with that for a second. I love that. And that also is an element of trusting yourself to make
Totally.
the right decisions.
It's true. Yeah. And yeah,
Mm.
I think that's true. And I think that's where, you're looking at your own core values and asking yourself, what are they? And can you stand in those in any place that you are, right? Whether you're in business, whether you're with those 30-year friends, or maybe those friendships are changing, like you said.
Yeah.
You continue to stand in those values? Can you allow sometimes for your own values to shift in ways you didn't expect, or in ways
Mm.
that you might choose, and still, navigate friendships and business and those things. And I think staying in that integrity all the time, even as we evolve as people, I think is really important. And it's not always easy, right? Because change is hard, as we'll talk about, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's this is fascinating to me. Um,
Mm,
And this really speaks to me. On your website, you say that you and your team embrace humanness and
mm,
heart to ensure progressive, sustainable results while staying true to the company's values. And I
Hmm.
know you're in a technology company, so
Right.
why is it important to you to put that human aspect first when you help to transform a company? Because that's really what you guys do.
Yeah, that's a great question. When my partner and I first met, she said to me she was struck and really loved my humanity. And I paused a couple of times with that myself and asked myself, like, that's not something that like is said very often, is talked about or considered. And as I considered it, I thought, how do we as a firm do that? And we take that very seriously, that human element, the people element of what we do. And I think that humanness and our humanity is that place where our values connect with one another, our experiences connect with one another. And so, yes, we're a technology firm as well. We're about, business transformation, and we do that with people, process, and technology elements, right? And they're all connected. But we always lead with the people part because as great as, good process and the latest technology are, they're always informed and evolved by people, by relationship, by our humanity together. And
Mhm.
so when we go on a project and we work with clients and we work, even within our own team or with our clients, we're always feeling like real transformation comes from those relationships, and that connectivity, like all day long. I kind of chuckle a little bit. I don't know if have you used Chat GPT yet? This AI tool. Have you heard of this?
Very briefly, I've heard of
Okay.
it, kind of played with it, but not
Yeah.
not too much yet. Yeah.
Okay, well, let me inspire you. Use it.
Yeah.
Use it for anything. Use it for writing a letter, use it for writing, a poem, and use it for business transformation. So my partner and I have been laughing about this because we use it for everything we can think of. And it's been really transformative in a million ways for us. And it even has empathy. It has empathy, it has compassion. Like you'll try and write something a little different or say something a little different. You can ask it to do that. And it has all the empathy and compassion. But the reality of it is it's not a person. It'll never be a person. It'll never connect heart to heart, face to face in the way that you can when you are doing really hard things. And the reality of it is transformation in any context is challenging, it's exciting, it's empowering, it's a whole lot of things. And the more connected we are as people when we do that, I think the easier, the more impactful, the bigger the changes that are possible. And I just think just every single time, like we have these great tools, process, and technology, they are never going to be as good as they can be with the people leading that charge, no matter how good the tech is. So we love that part, and we love to see how big the changes can be, and him how personally impactful, how company impactful change can be when we stay connected during the projects that we do.
Wow.
Yeah, it's exciting for us.
And what I love to hear is that you're not this cookie cutter. We're going to come in. Here's how we do things. We start here. Because you're really connecting with the people and saying, I mean, obviously you have a process, but how will this process work best for you? How can we implement it the
Mm-hmm.
best way for you?
Hmm.
So do things sometimes like take longer than expected because like or shorter than expected because
For
it's kind of
sure.
how, yeah, like with
Yeah,
each.
you make such a great point. One of the things that I think our firm is really good at, that we really, I think, pride ourselves on, but really take seriously is, we know what we do, right? We have a methodology and approach. We've done it for a long time, and every company we go into, and most of our clients are family-owned manufacturing and distribution clients companies, and so, they all have their own look and feel. They have their own culture. And so our methodology, where I think we do our best work, is being able to be nimble and adapting that methodology to exactly where they're at.
Mm,
We've had companies come to us with, they've been on a system, let's say, for 32 years, and people are very used to that system. They're very comfortable with it. People have worked there for a very, very long time. And so we need to come in and really take a look at where are people today? What can they handle? How will they handle change? What way of changing is going to be best, right?
mm.
How's it going to feel to them if we do it one way versus the other? So you make a really great point in that every time we go into a company, we have to really go in with a beginner's mind as well, and ask the right questions and be willing to meet them where they're at and adjust how we approach our own work to get them where they're trying to go. So does it take less time or more time? It can, right? And that always, for us, we always say, like, this can take less time or more time. It's really up to you as the client. Sometimes they need to move slower, and we have to honor that. And sometimes they need, for various reasons, to move really fast. And there's ways to do that as well. But again, it's about meeting them where they're at and getting them where they're trying to go in the best way possible for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of sort of like redoing a room in a house or
Yes.
redoing a house, where
Yeah,
it's
right.
like it's been this
Right.
way, and you want this, and this, but there's almost like too many choices for things like
Hmm.
paint color or whatever. But you're coming in and seeing, okay, it's not, I wouldn't paint that color blue, but this client wants this color blue. So,
Right.
that kind
Right.
of stuff.
It's true. That's a really great point. They're not always going to, and they're not always going to make the choices you think are the best choices, right? But
Hmm.
something that I love is I always say, like, we're great at what we do, and we will bring that to the table. And these businesses are successful for a reason, right? And so they've done some amazing things, and there's nobody that knows their business better than they do. And we really honor and respect that. And so it's really bringing together both of us to the table that creates, I think, the really transformational change. We just both bring our best to the table, right?
Right.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I'm really thinking about your background in the big consulting firm where I'm guessing it was more cookie cutter where you would
Yeah.
and just to go back for a second, I love the ignorance is bliss of, yeah, of course I can do this, which of course you could have, but that you weren't going to let anybody stand in your way because you didn't think about the
Mhm.
obstacles in front of you. And I think that's
So true.
brilliant.
That's right. It's very true, right? You're just like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I want happiness. I want freedom. I'm going in. It's
Yes.
so true.
And I think we can learn from that because how often do we talk ourselves out of things by saying, what if this happens and this
Yeah.
might happen? And the truth is we don't know any of that. If we just jump in and then it sounds really like you had a wealth of knowledge going in, but then you
Hmm.
really learned as you went along.
For sure.
Yeah,
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 for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, I would agree.
So you're really in the business of empowering companies, which I
Hmm.
love, to connect, collaborate, and communicate through transformational change. Can you
Hmm.
describe the satisfaction that you yourself get when you witness a company transform as a result of your consulting
Hmm.
process?
Oh, for sure. So we talk about connect, collaborate, and communicate as the three C's within our firm. And it's really the way we operate. It's the way we connect internally. It's the way we connect with our partners and our clients. And it translates into how we run a project. And, it gets back to the humanness and the humanity that we talked about earlier. How do we take something like transformational change with that an organization has asked us to help them with, and make it so that it's digestible and achievable and, like you said, empowering to the company and the people. And we think the three C's are foundational in doing that for us and our clients and our partners. And when you talk about the satisfaction from that, oh, this is so wonderful. This is one of my favorite things. You go into a company, let's say, that's in its second, third, maybe even fourth generation sometimes. Um, and sometimes and often with these companies, the people that have worked there since high school, since college, right? Early mid 20s, and they might be in their 40s or 50s. They've been there a long time, oftentimes. And these folks that we encounter that are usually assigned to the projects that we work on have been there a really long time, are the subject matter experts in the areas that we need them to be, that we really are going to be transforming. And so they come to the table, and they can come to the table oftentimes with all of this knowledge, but a lot of trepidation, a lot of fear. Um, I think also most of the time, lots of excitement. But I think the reality of it is that change is scary and or can be scary at times. And it's sort of this like pendulum, like going back and forth. It's like, oh, I'm really excited to be here. Oh, can't wait. Want to really, really, really help. And then, oh my God, how's this going to impact me? Oh my gosh, you're going to change my system. Oh my gosh, I have to change this. So the reality sets in over the course of a project where you go in really excited and change is hard. And so I think for us, the goal is through the three C's, connecting with the individuals within the organization right off the bat. Again, meeting them where they're at, understanding them on an individual basis, but
Mm-hmm.
also within the context of the company and the culture and strategically where this company is trying to go, which we have to honor and respect. We've been hired to do a job, of course, but how do you bring those together? And it's through relationship with individuals. I always use this fun example, which is one of my favorites. Is we worked for an ice cream company a long time ago, quite some time ago, taking them from what is called an AS400. It's an old IBM box. A custom system that they were on, and they were moving to a modern day ERP system or enterprise solution. And this one woman had been supervising the order entry area for probably 35 years.
Wow.
She'd worked there for 47 years since she was like 17 years old. And now she was the supervisor of this order taking, high volume order taking environment. And she was rough around the edges, but this beautiful woman. And it was tough. Like she bumped up against us a lot. We bumped up against her a lot. And we just kept working at it and working at it and relating, connecting in ways that were meaningful to her. And I found out sometime along the way that the one thing she did outside of work, because she was there a lot, was knit. Excuse me, not knit. She quilted. She was a quilter.
Oh, wow.
And this was such a sweet, sweet thing. And so we connected on that because I knit a little bit at the time, and I had some quilting background just from my relationship with my own grandmother. And so we connected in this small way one day, and I went, oh, again, enter the humanity, enter the connection, enter the shared values and shared experience. And it shifted, like something shifted at that moment. And so we were able to maybe she allowed us a little more, right? Allowed our input a
Mm.
little more. And just those little moments like that. But by the time it was all said and done, she not only embraced the new system, but she was able to lead her team through the implementation, the training, even, and go back to being a very confident supervisor with more tools in her toolkit, more confidence. I think a broader role even than she had before. And so we watched her transform in this really magnificent way. And then I think the other piece of that on a more general basis is taking people who are in different roles within an organization. You've got the AP clerk, or you may have someone who's been there a long time with lots and lots of experience. This runs the gamut, right? And they're all involved at some level, and they're all having to go through this change. And what I love is you find that when you're working through these types of projects, you can meet while you're meeting these folks where they're at. You find these skills that like they didn't even know they had. All of a sudden, the AP clerk is a system administrator, is the leading expert in some new enterprise solution, and they never knew they would love to do that or would have the
Right.
opportunity to do that. And now they're supporting some large enterprise solution for this company. So I think what I love the most is finding opportunities to level people up in the work that we do. We get leveled up, of course, because we're
Yeah.
engaging with these really great companies. But part of our role is to find places to level individuals up in all the pockets that we can, so that collectively, when we're done, like they are more empowered individually and also as a company. And that for me is just pure, pure happiness all day long. The cool thing, to put sort of a final point on this ice cream company and this order entry supervisor that was sweet. So I knew we'd done the best job we could do. Because after all the grumbling and all the transformation and all the things she went through with us, and she finally came around at the very end of the project, she comes to me and she gives me this quilting bag. So it's basically a bag to hold, it's a quilted bag, but it was meant for me to hold all like any knitting I was doing or any work I was
Oh,
doing. And I was like, oh, that is winning. Like that is happiness
yes.
all day long, made my whole
Oh.
day. It just, yeah. So it's things like that, right? That just this make it worth it. So from a satisfaction perspective, that's where it's
Mm.
at for me for sure.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I didn't realize that, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you are hired, the CEO or whoever is saying we need to make a change. So
Mhm.
in you come, and then there might be people who are kind of like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Totally.
And I
Yeah, all
sort of
day.
imagine everybody would automatically be on board as soon as you got there. But of course, that's not the case. You know what
No,
I mean?
no, not at all. I mean, like I said, it's funny because, I think again, when you're starting these projects, the best companies have these folks coming to join the team, or they're allocating people to the team who are excited mostly to be there. One or two maybe like, oh God, who knows? But you do, no matter how excited you are, even when you come in, and there are definitely a couple of naysayers at the beginning, people ebb and flow through the process, right? Because they realize it's harder than they thought, or it's not quite what they expected, or they have to make a change they maybe didn't want to make that now they have to. So it can be kind of a roller coaster. And so to remain upbeat and energetic and not be pulling things down as they go is part of the work too. Like how do we sort of maintain that, work through that roller coaster with people no matter how they're showing up, and that's part of the work too.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it's fun. Oh my God, it is so fun to do. It is so
it
fun to do
is.
that, right? Because that's the challenge for us. Like, how do we do that? And so, yeah, we love that part.
I am so grateful, really, to you and your company for meeting people where they are.
Mm.
and not just I'm picturing like the opposite of a steamroller, you know,
Right. Oh yeah, you cannot like you will get nowhere steamrolling people in this environment, right? Change is hard, change is scary. Like you no, you don't get to do it that way at all.
like, wow. I really I hope a lot of business owners are listening to this because I think they
Hmm.
could really learn a lot from your
Mm.
methodology and your ideals and again where you're coming from first with the humanity.
Oh,
That's
thanks, Rachel. Thank you.
brilliant.
That's
Oh,
meaningful. It means a lot to us for sure. So it's nice to feel like it's meaningful elsewhere.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So powerful woman that you are, do you have one or two pieces of advice for someone who wants to jump in and start their own business, but they're quickly talking themselves out of it?
Hmm. Yeah, this is a great question. I actually just met with the son of a friend of mine who was retired from kind of global HR at Nike. And her son called me the other day. And so this is so funny, this question's coming up. And I kind of went through this all with him, and I was thinking back to like what was my best advice to him as we were talking through it, because he's in this place, he's a software engineer getting ready to start his own business. And I said, I think the biggest thing is like you can't a couple of things is you don't idealize. You have to be realistic. I think especially when technology is at our fingertips the way it is, there's 1,000 different things you can do, and everybody thinks their, new software is the best thing out there, or the best idea at times. And so I think it's being don't idealize. Be realistic. I would say also get advice, which he did in this case from me and like 30 other people. I was like, oh, that's winning. Good job. And a business coach told me years ago, said something to me that's really stuck for me, and that is that success leaves clues. And so if you look around, I suggested to him, I said, go find three companies where that look and smell, if you will,
Mhm,
like you want to be, like you want to do.
mhm,
And use them as examples for what you might uh, how you might craft and frame your business plan, how you might craft and frame your revenue model, or what return on investment looks like for you, or what your key performance indicators would look like. What has made them successful, and emulate that. So I think for startups particularly, finding those model companies out there is really important. I
mhm,
would say one other thing is, and this is something I think a lot of us have heard, but really sticks with me. Like you're only as successful or only as effective as the people you surround yourself with. So if you're surrounding yourself with people you can learn from, who inspire you, who share your values, who are going places you want to go, that's going to be transformational in anything you're trying to do, much less start a business, right? So I think surrounding ourselves with people that we really can learn and grow from, also super important. So
mhm.
that's what I told this guy the other day.
That's so
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate the don't idealize part because on the one hand, you want people dream big, but then I think if
Hmm.
you don't hit your I'm going to be a millionaire within 2 years or whatever it is that you've been
Right.
thinking about, then you get so discouraged. So
Hmm.
I love that where it's
Yeah.
have the dream, but also stay in the reality of what you can accomplish all along the way.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
That's fantastic. Can you share what's the best part of being your own boss?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. Like for sure.
Yeah.
It's always for me been the independence, the flexibility, and the freedom. Like those
Mm,
three things, like in all ways, like flexibility to take a day off if I want or work more if I want, financial flexibility and freedom. I think all of those things I've given myself by going, I mean, right, the risk and reward is always the thing you think about when you go to do business on your own or start a business. It's like, what's the risk reward trade-off? And for me, the rewards to having being my own boss have just been always so much higher than otherwise. So yeah, flexibility, independence, and freedom for me for sure.
fantastic. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that for you. And you don't just run a successful company, you're also a dedicated partner and mom and
Yeah.
daughter and friend. And I know that for you in particular, it's really important for you to maintain a healthy work-life balance. And I
Hmm.
think it's especially challenging for women when
Hmm.
everything is expected of us. So, what are some things that you do either on a daily basis or just that help your mind and body stay sane throughout your super busy life?
Yeah, oh, that's a great question. I think two things. I've been a runner for probably 30 years, and I've
Mm,
evolved that over time to be a little more, I guess, realistic about it. Like, where does it really serve me, and where does it just keep me revved
yeah.
and too up, right? It's great to burn energy and kind of burn through energy and keep ourselves healthy, but where's the balance? And so I think for me, it's in movement, but also in stillness. And, one challenge I've taken on recently, I'm in Portland, Oregon, and we have something here called Mount Tabor, and it's this area, it has steps all over the place. And one of the things I've taken on is to challenge myself to see how many, um, how many times I can go up and down this set of steps. And so there's this set of 94 steps,
Woo,
and my record so far is this last week is 21, going up and down 21 times within less than
what?
25 minutes. I know.
Oh
I
my
was so
God.
excited. Oh my God, I felt like such a rock star after doing that. I was so
Yes.
excited. And it's like 4,000 steps. My partner was, timing it and clocking it and, measuring all. She's like, you just did 4,000 steps. I'm like, oh my God, I did. So that, those types of things, I think, I love a challenge. I love the movement of that. But I also think stillness. And I would say stillness is something that is newer for me, something that I am constantly working at, trying to still my mind, still my body. I think that allows me to, when I need to, sit with things that aren't as comfortable as I would like them to be. And that's a learned behavior, I think, for all of us. I think sometimes movement is great, but can also move you right past the thing you need to really look at. And
Mm,
so, as I go through my own life changes and evolve over time, I think learning to be still has been a really critical part of that. So, and then I think the last thing I didn't mention this, but I think the nutrition piece, especially as I get older,
mm,
I've always valued good nutrition, really balanced. I call, macros is a term people heard, but basically balancing, fat, carbohydrates, and protein in a way that serves my body. It serves, you might balance those differently for your body. People do it differently. But my partner is this incredible cook, and she has been throwing these bowls, these breakfast bowls, and these lunch bowls in front of me every day for like the last couple of months. So she's been working on like my nutrition. Like I didn't realize she's like, you have no idea what I stuck into that bowl, and I'm like, oh, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel great right now. Like I've been feeling really good. And so recognizing where nutrition, I think, contributes to, both all the places that we try and be with our bodies, I think is more and more important as I get older. So that's been a big deal for us as well.
how wonderful. And that, boy, that stillness part is
Mm,
so important because
yeah.
you're right. We'll do this. Okay, I'm going to exercise and I'm going to do our life can be kind of in chunks, where we have I'm working, I'm doing this, and there's no part in there for stillness until we
Yeah.
collapse into bed at the
Right.
end of the night.
Right. And we all did that. Like I'm gonna say I will say I did that. So
Yeah.
first, certainly in my late 20s and my 30s, even into my 40s, that was my thing all the time. So
Hmm.
learning to be still has been a really important. I think if that's one thing I could tell, you know, um, I like to work to empower and lift up other women in the course of what we do as well. It's a real passion of mine. I have a real heart for it, and part of the conversation I have with women business owners now that are 10, 20, 30 years younger than I am. I can't even believe I'm saying that, but yes. Is like
Right.
find stillness now, find space now. Don't think you're going to find space after your kids are gone, after, life changes and it goes by really fast and things happen you don't expect. And it's easy to stay busy all the time. And so it's important early on when we think we're supposed to be building careers fast and furious. Like, no, make room for stillness, make room for yourself now, because that's a habit and it's a pattern that you want to establish now because it's a lot harder to establish later, I think.
Completely.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
you would
think
know too. I know you've been working hard your whole life as well, and you're my same age. I mean,
I know, right? And I really feel like our generation was not brought up with things like meditation and
True.
taking time.
Yeah.
It was we graduate and we go, 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 we check the boxes. And
Hmm.
so I am thankful to have found that later in life, but that's such wonderful advice
Yeah.
and not to be afraid of the uncomfortableness that might come with the stillness.
It's true. It's true.
Mhm. Well, I see we have to wrap up, but I just want to ask you, you're in such an exciting new chapter. What are you looking forward to in the upcoming months and years ahead?
Oh, such a great question. Thank you for asking. I think so much of what I'm doing at this age and at this point in my life is just trying to get back to myself a little bit more. You know, I've raised kids. I've trying to get outside, trying to do, kind of. And it's funny. I'm just kind of even struggling to say this out loud because I think we've been raised as women. I certainly was to take care of everybody else. And so saying that you're taking care of yourself is a thing, is a new thing for me. But I am, and I love to get outside. My partner and I love to get outside, and so we have an Airstream, a 28-foot Airstream, and a
Oh,
gigantic,
fun.
like 3/4 ton pickup truck that is hilarious. And we love to name things, so we love to name these big things. So the Airstream is named Claudia Gale. And the truck is Valerie Rambo. And in combination, they're like 45 feet and
Wow.
pure metal. And so we're going to travel around Oregon for starters in the coming weeks. So we're pretty excited about that. We can work from there, et cetera. So it's pretty fun.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah. We're
Oh,
very
that sounds
excited.
like what a ton of fun. You have to
Yeah.
send me
Very.
pictures.
Oh, I will. I will. It'll be so fun. Yeah. It's a blast. And learning to parallel park 45 feet, that's a thing.
Oh my
It really
gosh.
is. I did that in Walmart one time and I was like, oh my gosh, I can do this. It was pretty great. It was
That's
pretty great.
impressive.
Yeah,
I can't even do it with my own car, much less, this and the Airstream is I really feel like you are giving yourself permission to choose happiness and the most happiness you can at this stage of your life.
for sure. It's funny. The Airstream came about because my grandparents, when they were 50 to 90, in the first part of their own retirement, and I'm not retired yet, but
Mhm.
they had an Airstream. And so when I went looking for a way to be mobile and also um, have also working in kind of this hybrid lifestyle that where my partner and I are choosing right now, um, in a way we never thought possible, we went right to an Airstream, and it's been so much fun. And so yeah, it's a really special, and I also feel like it's a very fortunate place to be, after all these years of just putting in the work and the
Mhm.
effort into something that I love, but to also be able to choose, um, just getting to choose, and so I feel very
Yeah.
fortunate for that, for sure. And the Airstream's just icing on a cake.
That's so
It really
great.
is.
Yeah, I really feel like our generation in particular, it was drilled into us to do the quote, have it all, full-time work and
Yeah,
raise the kids. And I'm thankful that these upcoming generations don't seem to have that kind of pressure. But I
agreed.
also feel like it took us this many decades, now that we're empty nesters and we still enjoy our work, but it's kind of like, oh, this is now, yeah, this is me
Yeah,
time. This is pretty
right.
great.
Yeah, it really is. I feel very, very fortunate for those reasons. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. Oh, this is going to be so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we'll have links to site at the
Oh,
end, plus on my social media and YouTube and everything. But can you just tell people where they can find Site Consulting Group?
Oh, for sure. Thanks for asking. So, we're a nationwide consulting firm. We've got consultants all over the country. We're based out of Portland, and I think the best place to find us is on our website at sytecg.com, but also on LinkedIn. We're fairly active out there as well because that's where lots of our prospective and existing clients live. I also think, in a subtle way, you'll find us in places where you experience food and beverages in your life at home. So, a lot of our clients are food and beverage clients. So, when you eat
Oh,
candy, when you have ice cream, um, and maybe when you're putting gutters on your house, even like these are some companies that we've done business with for many, many years. We particularly love our food and beverage companies for the fun of that, but you'll find us in, I think, a lot of manufactured products that you might use as well in a small, subtle way. So
oh,
helping to
that's
grow and scale those
fantastic.
guys. Yeah, very fun.
Oh,
Very
that's
fun.
great.
Yeah.
I know you got the quilting bag. Did you get free ice cream when you worked with
Oh,
the
for
ice cream?
sure. Oh my
Oh,
God. So yeah, at the time, I was still raising kids at the time, and we took my daughter and her school, a couple of kids from her class, on a tour of this ice cream plant, and they make hardtack ice cream, and they took them to the ice cream plant, and at the time, when the ice cream is first made, it's soft serve. And so, they all have their cups of strawberry soft serve walking through and getting a sense of not only the manufacturing process, but to, at the end, have the ice cream as the icing on their cake, so to speak, was pretty
Yeah.
great. So yeah. And then, we've got a candy company that makes taffy and oh my God, gummy bears. And
Oh,
we're like, oh yeah. So yeah, we make friends pretty fast around here with all the things we get to share. It's pretty great.
I bet. Oh, that's
It's pretty great.
wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it has been such a joy to talk to
Mm,
you. Thank you so much for sharing all of your insights and
mm.
knowledge. I just admire you so much and the work you do. And I'm really honored to share this time and space with you. Thank you so much.
Oh, Rachel, it's such a pleasure to see you again for sure after so many years and also connect with you. I think that this podcast you're doing is just really inspiring and so positive in a place where sometimes it doesn't always feel that way in podcast land. So thanks for
Oh,
the contribution and thanks for having me. This was such a treat for me today. Appreciate it.
oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Take
Yeah.
good care. Have a fun trip.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll talk to you when I get back. All right.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.